Hi, just a quick one today, folks. I want to look at what you should be focusing on in your essays. So, in an essay, what you're really doing is giving an authoritative response. You've studied all year, you know your terms, you know your language, you know how English language works, develops, can also affect other Englishes, how they mix together. So what are you doing when you're asked an essay prompt? I'm not going to go into the specifics of a prompt, but rather just some of the topics you should be thinking around and preparing for. Maybe even trying to recall. Remember, active recall is one of the best study techniques. So key areas that you need to focus on. Linguistic variation. This reveals the social meaning. There's always social meaning behind language, the way people speak, how they speak, the lexemes they choose. When we're talking to somebody, what we're doing is we're assigning them a social category. And that is really dependent on the accent that we hear. So don't forget those phonetical aspects. Remember to comment on them, not just the syntax and the morphology, etc. The linguistic choices, listen carefully. How do they describe things? What words are they choosing? Do they use a lot of taboo language in a way that's as if it's an adjective? How are they using their language? What are they saying? Do they speak more in a cultured way using standard English, or is it a more informal, casual way, less cultured? Is their accent broader? What sort of patterns? Listen carefully. If you're looking at a spoken transcript, try to identify the patterns. Maybe get a different color highlighter and go through and highlight and just see how these people are managing topics, what they're speaking about, how they describe things, what's the focus of what they're talking about. And this will reveal different social affiliations and different relationships too. Remember, individuals can have a different relationship together than the one they have when they're in a group or in their families. So read scripts really carefully, be attentive to the identity. So also too, you can always look at a transcript and you might even get variation. You might get a transcript where we've got two interlocutors talking away and then a third person or a fourth person join the discussion, or it might be someone speaking to an audience. Notice how language is varied depending on the context. Remember, context is really important. Don't just bypass that. Don't just discard it. The context is there for a reason. The context will influence what you're looking for, what you're identifying, and the importance. It will help you to pinpoint the importance in an AC. In an essay, you can talk about how the context has a big influence over understanding identity when we're looking at language. So language, to remember this, language is used and governed by cultural rules and practice. Also look at the power relationships. That's something else you could comment on. Power and solidarity. These are also important factors. Why is somebody speaking the way they do? Is there a difference in power between the two speakers? And then identify how are they speaking then? What does it do? You can recall your ACs for this. So what you do is you've done an AC where you do the analysis. Now what you're doing is giving a report or a report on the analysis. You're discussing the analysis. Gender. Always look for gender. Gender today is increasingly seen as being socially constructed. So speakers use language as a way of signalling their public identity. Now that might be different to their tweet, might be very different to what they might write in a personal email or in a personal text message. So think about that. They're all the things that you can explore. You know this. You know this from your own relationships. Look at your own relationships. How do you speak in a family? How do your friends speak around you? How do they speak when someone not in your group comes up? Be attentive all the time. Examples that you can use to support your authoritative discussion are all around you. Also too, bilingual speakers or people from different ethnic backgrounds, be very attentive. You've got them among your friends. Friends, we've got a great diverse cohort around us. Listen carefully, listen attentively, and that's what you can describe in your essays. You can unpack the prompt using very real life examples. And finally, the pidginization and creolization may result in new language. Maybe you use a new language that's emerged because of the different contexts that you've been in and the different language influences that have been a result of your experience or your friend's experience. If not directly, maybe you've seen it in YouTube clips, seen it on the TV. That's something also to be attentive to. So be really, really attentive all the time. Note down examples. If you've got your phone, maybe ask them if you can have a quick record, or record into it your notes and then write them down later. Do little transcripts that you can pull out when you're writing your essays. So I hope this has been a helpful tip today on focusing on those deeper areas, the bigger areas, the broader areas when you are speaking about language analysis in your English language. And good luck to all those students whose exams are coming up shortly.